Hello, everyone. Welcome to a very special edition of the Don Lemon Show. Today, I'm chatting with a pair of particularly inspiring people. They have been a couple. Their name is Fox and Rob Rich. They've been a couple for 38 years. They survived 21 of those years as an incarcerated family. Wait till you hear their story. It's fascinating. In 1997, Rob, a first-time offender in Louisiana, was sentenced to 61 years in prison as a result of an absurd, overzealous prosecution. In the years to follow, Fox spearheaded a valiant campaign to secure her husband's freedom, a goal she achieved in the summer of 2018. And in the years since, they have worked as powerful advocates for prison reform. In 2020, they were the subjects of the Oscar-nominated documentary Time, named one of Barack Obama's favorite films of the year. And now, Fox and Rob are back with a sequel, Time 2, Unfinished Business. Hi, how are you guys doing?
Hey,
We are with the Don Lemon. Life just keeps getting better.
Thank
Yeah.
you so much for joining us. It's indeed an honor to have both of you on. Rob, I just provided the audience with this brief context of your life, and I mean it's been fascinating. I know it's been tough, but I'm sure the folks at home want to know. Talk to us about your time behind bars, how it affected your family. 21 years? That's a
hmm
long time, man.
yes, indeed. Don, can't thank you enough for having us on the show and being able to share our story.
Mhm.
Because the injustice that happens to us, we found that far too many times it's not just a rare thing that happened or an unusual thing that happened, but it happens more frequently than not. For those that are listening for the first time, as a couple, Fox and I are known as Fox and Rob, and we're a formerly incarcerated couple who spent more than 21 years behind bars before receiving clemency in 2018. Probably one of the biggest takeaways that we had from that experience is knowing that to be free is to free others. That being said, 1997, our family, Fox and I, were high school sweethearts. We met in 1987 and decided to exchange nuptials 10 years later after an on again, off again relationship. Began to pursue what we thought was the American dream, and that was opening up our city, Shreveport, its first hip hop clothing store. We ran off to Florida and eloped and got married in a little wedding chapel. Came back a few days later, started what would become our family's first business, and the investor pulled out on us. And in a lapse in judgment, as people become desperate, people have a tendency to do desperate things. And we made a desperate attempt to regain financial solvency by robbing a bank in an effort to save our business. And it didn't work.
Yeah, and,
you
and it
know,
wasn't just our business as well,
right.
Don. It was all the things. I just lost my job. The brand new house that we had bought. If it was a car, we call it a lemon, no pun intended. But it had a cracked foundation. The first rain came in and literally took off the roof with some damages that we were not financially prepared to take care of. And so when you just put that witch's brew together, it can create quite a commotion in one's spirit. And if you lose sight of what is really important in life, because what's really important we already had, and that was family. And so on that doomed day, dark day, we traded in what we already had for something that we thought would make what we had better. And we would spend the next 30 years of our life trying to tell people, one, this is not the road to take. If you are Black and in America, you cannot afford to commit a crime, because the statistics, the studies, all of the research has shown that you will not be treated fair and impartially, that you will not be treated as your white counterparts when they go before the system. And so with that understanding, it's has become a mission of ours to understand that, one, we must work to liberate other people, to reclaim our loved ones from the system of 2.3 million people being behind bars, the world's largest incarcerator, and being able to spread that message by using media.
Yeah, so let me jump in here because I don't want people to go away or I started this off with the wrong message. You regret what you did, right?
No,
Yes,
And
without a doubt.
indeed.
yes, and you felt like you needed to pay the price, but you thought it was too harsh, and the system eventually agreed with you that this was an overzealous prosecutor, correct?
Mhm.
Yes.
Yes,
And
Mhm.
indeed.
what you have found is that there is um, I guess there's a difference or discrepancy in the way that people of color are treated to the way people who are not of color, our white counterparts, are treated in the criminal justice system. Why
Mhm.
do you think that you got so much time?
Hmm. I think it happens a number of reasons. One, when we go into the to the court systems, all too often, we have come to understand that we don't have a friend of the court. We don't know the court actors, and so in those instances, you come into a court system like this, and you're basically a number.
Mm,
Historically, blacks have not necessarily been treated with the same fundamental fairness that our white counterparts receive when faced with the set of circumstances. And so this is just something that has been traditional. It has been long standing. The 13th Amendment abolished slavery in this country, but at the same time, there is an exception. The exception is when you've been duly convicted of a crime.
mhm, mhm,
Historically, blacks have been the people that have made up the majority of people enslaved, and in prison being a derivative from that system, it's not much different.
Mhm.
But we are seeing some changes in the trends. But in 1997, when I went into the prison system, I'm 5 years on the other side of the Clinton crime bill that basically was largely responsible for what we now know as mass incarceration,
mhm.
because it was the implementation of 85% laws, or what they call truth in sentencing laws. It was the implementation of the Anti-Terrorism Effective Death Penalty Act. It was the removal of paroles, the streamlining of governors, using the power of the governor to implement pardons and clemencies in situations like these.
And you laid this out. I mean, look, if I'm thinking now as you're talking about this. Remember Ava DuVernay's the 21st or whatever the 20
The
that
13th.
Thirteen.
the 13th
That's right.
Mm.
which was an amazing documentary which helps to lay all of this out. So look, I want to know before we get to again why you're doing this, why this has become a mission for you. How did you endure for 21 years, Rob?
I think when I first got into the backseat of the police car, I was wondering. I had one of them coming to Christ kind of moments, I guess, where I was there on the cross, and much like Christ, I was like, well, man, if you could really pass this bitter cup, to someone else, I'm here for it, But at the same
For
time, I think
21 years, Rob.
I
Damn.
know, right, right. But
Wow.
I had to come to the realization that this was a calling that was being placed upon my life, and I had to figure it out, Don.
Yeah.
I pull from the DNA of our ancestors. I
Mhm.
figured that if our ancestors could endure over 400 years of what we know as chattel slavery, farther rougher conditions than the one that I was now faced with. But
Mm.
if they could go through that and then come out victorious on the other side, then I would be able to turn my tragedy into a triumph as well. So
Yeah.
therein, it kind of became a purpose-driven life for me. I woke up every day thinking about and having freedom on my mind. My family woke up every day with freedom on their mind. Our children woke up every day with freedom on their mind, and we were hell bent. Me inside, Fox inside and out, and our children, as children of incarcerated parents,
Mm.
we were hell bent on succeeding, despite what we had been placed inside of, much in the same way that our ancestors had.
And I think one of those things too, Don, is to consider that one of the very first books that I bought Rob when he started his 60-year prison sentence was Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm like, what can I sit with?
Fox, that's one of the books. That's one of my favorite books. It's about your mind and what you can
That's right.
endure. Right?
When I
Right.
saw it on the bookshelf, I said, God, we need some answers right here. And this book has got to be something. This man has been through something, so maybe he can help my husband. And it was transformative for him, to
Mhm.
find meaning in his suffering.
Yeah,
Mhm.
logotherapy works.
Yeah, Rob, your family story began as a fight for your freedom, but now it's a fight for your nephew's freedom. Ontario and the millions of families torn apart by excessive sentencing. Talk to us about that journey.
When people leave away from war, they come home with something that they call survivor's guilt. much of the same thing holds for people who have had who have experienced long suffering through incarceration. You've learned and gained friendships with people that you have a lot of memories and history that you build with when you've been incarcerated for as long a period of time as I have been. And with that being said, the day that I walked out of prison, I couldn't take none of those people with me, not even my fall partner and nephew, Ontario. So it was in that moment that I knew that if I was ever going to liberate him or aid the other people that I had left behind, I knew that I was going to have to change my survivor's guilt into survivor's ambition. So therein began the work that Fox and I do called participatory defense, where we teach legal awareness as a best form of defense to people who are justice or system impacted. So that is how we started working toward how then do we liberate, how then do we afford the opportunities to deserving others that we were given in our own set of circumstances.
Yeah. I want to play a trailer from Time 2, and then I want to chat more about it.
If it wouldn't have happened to us, we never would have believed it.
Dear God, thank you for this day. For another opportunity to be able to get it right. Another opportunity to be of service to someone in need.
I had so much to say before I started. I don't even know where to begin.
I walked out of Angola State Penitentiary. I kissed and held my wife unrestricted for the first time in 21 years. But my heart was heavy as I was forced to leave my nephew and fall partner behind.
Here are the nominees for documentary feature.
Time. We will not be denied. We will be heard.
It became clear to me in that very moment that to be free is to free others.
And the work continues, nephew. Whether it's today or tomorrow, you coming home.
Big bills that we need passed this legislative session.
This time the board has denied Smith.
The crowd that I heard talking about the loss of Alton Sterling. Yes. I know that crowd. Yes. You know that crowd.
Yes.
And we know it all too well.
Yes.
This is the beginning of what is to come.
The problem is the system.
We have nothing to lose but our change. We have nothing to lose but our change. It is our duty to win. To win. To win. To win. To win.
Look, that's a powerful example of just something short, right? That's in a much longer film here. Very powerful. How would you compare this project to the original film, guys?
If Time 1 was the cry, Time 2 is the call. Time 1, which is streaming on Amazon Prime Video, it documents my journey to bringing Rob home. Time 2 tells a much deeper story, a fuller story, because it goes into actually how did I bring Rob home, and then what did we do with freedom once we got it done? We all have freedom right in our hands, and as our country is going through this tumultuous time right now, times of uncertainty, time of just disbelief, I think we need to know now more than ever that when we have our freedom, we have everything that we need in order to navigate this life, and we just got to use it. So for me, it was about empowering people with the information of not only how did we get freedom for our family, but also what did we do with that freedom. And what we did with it was what we understood to be true when Rob came home, was to be free is to free others.
And now we're going to take a break and get a word from our sponsor. Support for the Don Lemon Show today comes from ZBiotics. And I have to tell you about this. This is a game-changing product that I use before a night of drinks. It's called pre-alcohol. ZBiotics pre-alcohol probiotic drink is the world's first genetically engineered probiotic. It was invented by PhD scientists to tackle rough mornings after drinking. So here's how it works. When you drink, alcohol gets converted into a toxic byproduct in the gut. It builds up. It's a buildup of this product, not dehydration, that is to blame for rough mornings or rough days after drinking. Pre-alcohol produces an enzyme to break this product down. So just remember to make pre-alcohol your first drink of the night. Drink responsibly, and you're going to feel your best the next day. Okay, so I first gave it a try when I had to attend a wine tasting, and I drank it before my first glass of wine, and thank God I did. And you wouldn't believe I was on top of my game the next morning. I felt great. So now that summer's here, that means that there's lots of opportunities to celebrate. So go to zbiotics.com/lemon drops to learn more and get 15% off your first order when you use lemon drops at your checkout. ZBiotics is back with a 100% money back guarantee. So if you're unsatisfied for any reason, they're going to refund your money, no questions asked. And remember to head to zbiotics.com/lemon drops and use the code lemon drops at checkout for 15% off. Now back to Fox and Rob. So let's talk brass tacks here. I loved your film, and I also am really interested in your criminal justice reform work, which I think is truly, truly important at this time. What's wrong with the prison system in America?
Oh man, what it is, I think that it is based upon capitalism. Anytime that we insert capitalism into our punitive system, then it becomes another entity. It certainly is not an entity to serve, to rehabilitate, to restore our communities. I mean, you've done 1,000 of these shows, Don, and for me, it is about still comparing us as a industrialized nation and how we treat our people that are incarcerated. One, that we lead the world in incarceration, but what systems are we using in our treatment of those people that we house versus that of other industrialized countries that put people in houses where my husband sat in a warehouse of 75 men bunked 3 rows high, sharing 5 urinals and 4 sinks and 4 shower heads. And when you go to somewhere like Norway, that each one of those individuals that's incarcerated, they have their own housing unit. They can cook their own food. Their families can come and visit them. So what is it in our system that makes it that we want to treat our citizens that have erred, which we know is human? Why do we want to treat them as less than human when we have them in the custody of our state? Whether I have broken the law or not, I'm still a human being. And in all those things, we want to make sure that we're treating our citizens like it.
I think it comes from the history of our law enforcement and what it was based on. I did a story recently where we talked about what policing in this country was based on, what incarceration is based on, based in slave catching, right? So the way that it started was to treat people in inhumane ways. And what blows my mind, though, every time I think about it, according to the facts, these are the stats. 1 in 3 Black boys born today can expect to be incarcerated.
That's right.
That's a very, very intentional system, isn't it? It is, people say, oh, the system has failed us. No, this machine is working it just intricately as it is supposed to. And so that is why it is so important for us with this film. It is not just a movie. It is a movement, Don Lemon. We are calling on 1 million people to join us in watching and joining this campaign for freedom that will launch on Juneteenth. Can you imagine 1 million people watching freedom? That means that we get to see ordinary people through one family's journey through incarceration, not only fight against the system, but actually win, not just win once, but win twice, win 3 times. What we're hopeful for is to empower the people with the knowledge that we need to know that everything we need in order to navigate this life and stand up, we already have.
Yeah.
Nobody is coming to save us.
Why do you think you believe that mandatory minimums are problematic? Why do you think it's problematic?
Oh, without a doubt, mandatory minimums are problematic. But what I think we need more in our country is that we need a fair, equal system. You shouldn't get more for a crime in Louisiana than you get in Kansas City. So why do we not, in the 50 states, have an orchestrated system for punishment in our nation that is on one accord, just like our dollar? You don't go use a different dollar in Louisiana than you use in New York. It's the same dollar. And so when crime is done in the land of the Americans, then there should be a systematic, no matter who you are, where you're from, if you do X, Y, and Z, your amount of time is X, Y, and Z.
What do you think of prison abolitionism? Do you consider yourselves prison abolitionists?
I think that you go ahead first, baby.
So you want
Abolition.
to abolish the prison system? Like, what do you?
No, I don't want to abolish the prison system. I want to abolish slavery.
Yes.
As it stands, I don't think that there's anything wrong with prisons. I think that there is a place and there's a purpose for prisons in our society. But the purpose for prisons, I think, needs to change. It needs to be repurposed. Slavery needs to leave. There should be no situation that you could find yourself in that would say that, oh, okay, this is a justifiable reason to enslave you. That's nothing's humane about that. Why would you want to do that to other human beings? So no, in that regard, I am not set on necessarily abolishing a system, the system, as much as it is that I am interested in abolishing rather a practice. The practice of slavery, I think, needs to become
Extinct.
It needs to be null and void. Herein or therein is the titling of our film, Time to Unfinished Business. Unfinished business as it relates to us and our nephew and people that we've pledged to liberate. But at the same time, I think that it's also 400 years worth of unfinished business because, yeah, we got up to a point that we were able to abolish it, but I don't think that our ancestors would be satisfied with the exception.
What do you think of how do you, for folks who have not personally, did you want to say something?
Oh no, I just said well said.
Oh, okay. Did you, for for people who are not touched by the prison system, who don't have any, or who are not personally impacted by it, how do you get them to authentically engage with this movement in ways that matter? Because if something doesn't affect you, many times it doesn't exist.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you do about that?
I think we have to get to a place to where we really expand the thinking of it. I mean, when you consider the fact, Donna, you had given the numbers as they relate to people of color, but when we look at Americans as a whole, 1 in 3 of us are impacted with a felony conviction. 1 in 2 of us have a family member that we have that is incarcerated. What does that then look like? It looks like number 47 having 35, 36 felony convictions to his credit. An outgoing member, our outgoing POTUS, who had a son that had a felony with a firearm. People from where I come from, they go to jail for a minimum of 5 years for that. But in this particular instance, he was pardoned. But when you look at those types of things, I think it then allows us to start broadening the scope of what we think when we think about incarceration. We should think about incarceration, or we should think about this film and what it has to offer people in a way that we think about having a first aid kit in our home. We hope that nothing happens in our home where we will ever need a tourniquet. We hope that nothing happens in the home where we need a Band-Aid or we need antibiotic ointment and all those types of things. But when you look at the number of people that are impacted by incarceration in the United States, when you consider that, you would have to say that everyone in our country needs to have a pathway to freedom. They at least need to know somewhere where I can go break the glass and pull the plug and have what I need in order to extinguish the fire that's burning.
So you have time 1 and you have time 2. So I'm sure that which leads me to believe like this is a real mission, a real campaign for you. So beyond that, beyond the film and the campaign, what do you hope your ultimate legacy is going to be in the movement for justice reform?
That we would be the ones that started the above ground railroad. Can you imagine during the time when Harriet Tubman was living, if she could have shared her rescue mission done with others? I know she said that she would have been able to free more had they known that they were slaves. But imagine if she could have shared the rescue mission with other people across other plantations that could have been on the same rescue missions that she was on all across this state. The work that we do with participatory defense, we're 40 hubs strong across the United States, teaching legal awareness as a best form of defense to people that are system impacted. We judge the success of our work by the amount of time that we save someone, opposed to the amount of time that they've been sanctioned to serve. In our state of Louisiana, we've saved more than 4,000 years of people doing time. In our country, we've saved more than 40,000 years of people doing time. Can you imagine being able to have the tools to get a family member out of incarceration if in the effect you need it at some point in time. As I may mention, I'm just hopeful that this will serve as a first aid kit to freedom to anyone that needs it, because I think all of us need participatory defense. I believe that it's what our president used as to how he was able to avoid the 35 charges that he faced. I think it was the way that our outgoing president was able to rescue his son from that moment. They practiced a thing called participatory defense, even though they didn't call it that.
For me, Don, if I can conclude about what I'm hopeful for on the other side of this.
By the way, I think it's 34 counts, but go on.
Who's counting,
right?
Who's counting? Yeah.
So for us, for me, it is about that we do so much work to make a difference in our world, so much more good than harm, that somebody will eventually write to Switzerland and tell them about us and nominate us for a Nobel Prize, so that we would be the 7th couple to ever win the Nobel Prize because we've done so much to make a difference.
That's right.
Well, you've spoken it out into the universe, and let's see if it comes back. But I think it's something fascinating what you said about Harriet Tubman. She could have saved many more had they known that they were slaves. And and what you're doing is about awareness. Thank you, Fox and Rob Rich. Congratulations on, of course, freedom, but congratulations on the impact that you're making, and continued success to both of you. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
We just want to encourage
us.
your listeners and viewers to register for the campaign. Join us and be one of the million watching at time2twomovie.com. That's time2movie.com.
Yeah. Thank you for that. And by the way, look, I'm from Louisiana, so I know all about Angola.
Yeah.
And all about that is no joke.
Don, we need you to host a watch party for us. We're going to offline about it.
All right. Thank you both. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yes, indeed.
Thanks everyone for watching. Your support means the world to us. So make sure you hit the like button and you subscribe to our channel to make sure that you never ever miss a video. We're live every day, 10 a.m. Eastern time. We drop even more content at 2 p.m. Eastern and 5 p.m. Eastern. And if you want more Don Lemon Show content, we'd love for you to become a member of the Lemon community, where you will receive access to special community posts. You'll get exclusive content and members-only live shows. So head over to our channel page or click the join button on this video. Again, thank you for watching. We appreciate your love and your support, and we will see you next time.